So this is your forecast for May 30th through June 6th. So we're going to go ahead and get started by, I'm going to show you my screen here. I love to share my screen with you because I want for you to learn along with me. So there we go. And I've got it set to New York time so you can see what the chart would look like if I were in New York instead of Okinawa. So welcome. Let me know how you guys have been. I'm so curious to know how you've been throughout the week. Let me know if you have any questions. If there's something that you would like for me to take a look at in your chart, I would love, we're all here to learn, and I would love to be able to do that in this public space, of course, with your permission. So if you have a question about something like today during the live Mercury play shop, there were some really great questions that came out, and I thought, this would be great to go over in the group. So if you have questions like about the nodes or whatever, feel free to bring them up, and then I can address them here in this group, because this is a learning space. This is for all of us, and I'm committed to bringing this. I feel like astrology education is it's self knowledge, and it's astrology is a tool. It's a language. It's not. I don't necessarily call it a divinate. It's not for divination. It's more a language of it's kind of like speaking between what is conceptual and what we don't necessarily have our hands on, and it's bringing it down to earth, like Mercury. We've been talking about Mercury lately, and that's what Mercury does. Mercury pulls from the unknown, from that kind of funny space where that river of creativity, where things are not necessarily in form, and Mercury brings it down to be in form through us. That's our job. That's kind of an awesome thing to think about. So but yeah, so the eclipses, the eclipse happened on last week, which was just absolutely fabulous. I'm curious to know for you how it's been going. And we're now in Mercury retrograde in Gemini, and so that's fun. But Mars is in Cancer, trine to Neptune, and so I'm going to go ahead and start with that. So Mercury's yeah, here we go. Mercury, sorry, Mars is in Cancer, trine to Neptune. So Mars here is in Cancer, trine to Neptune. That's this blue line right here. That's what that means. And this has to do with the angles. This is, again, Neptune is 23 degrees, and so is Mars. And so what this means is that this is quite a watery Mars. I'm going to say that because Mars is in Cancer. It's in Cancer is a watery sign, and Neptune is a watery planet. And so it's important with this transit, to be aware of just undercurrents that can make you defensive. I feel like with this eclipse, there's sort of like defensiveness can be a theme. And as you will see throughout this week, it will continue to be a theme because of one particular transit that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But it may leave you feeling defensive, but kind of unsure why. In artistic vision, it meets action and courage. So that could be a positive a bit about this transit. If there's a chance that you've been wanting to do something creatively, this could be a great transit for that. Like, do something a little bit more daring with, say you have a crazy idea, wild and crazy idea. Now's the time to do that. Mars would kind of like push you into like, hey, do this. Of course, this Mars is a more protective Mars. Think about a crab. Cancer is the crab. So think about that crab. The crab has a really protective shell, and so Mars being in Cancer is a more protective Mars. Yeah, and so it's a little bit more defensive. So defenses are up. That's what this basically comes down to. Okay, so moving on to the first, the moon moves into Pisces. I'm not sure if it's done that quite yet in here. Yes, it did. Okay, so if you look at it, look at this wheel I've got here. And if you're listening to the podcast, of course you can't see it, but trust me, the moon and Jupiter are conjunct. They're together. They are both at 1 degree in Pisces. And again, a lot of watery energy. And there's also a lot of mutable energy between the 3 planets in Gemini, and we've got 3 planets in Pisces. So we have the Sun and Mercury and Venus all in Gemini. And then we have this watery combination of, we have Jupiter, which is one of the traditional ruler of Pisces. And then you also have Neptune, which is the modern ruler of Pisces, along with the moon, which is watery since it rules over Cancer. And so, yeah, you've got kind of this airy quality combining with this watery quality, also immutable. So, yeah, this can be interesting. So the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Gemini can point, and I'm thinking about in your personal life, it could depend on where Gemini falls for you, which house it's in. So look in your chart, look and see where which house Gemini falls in for you, and you may find yourself collecting and gathering ideas and wanting to do something with them. But with the moon, Jupiter, and Neptune in Pisces, this brings an interest in transcendence, or even just like this a desire to kind of like just go do something else. Um, and it's almost like you want to do a thing because your heart and soul are telling you that it's time to do the thing, um, but you can't. You can't. You want to move forward. Um, your heart and soul are telling you that it's time, and in your mental space you're preparing yourself. So that's what that is called, that's about. So again, you may not feel like you're in a place where you can actually take action. You can't really do anything tangible, and that can feel frustrating. I know that I'm in a space like that right now. I'm like, I'm ready to do this thing, but I can't do it because it's just not time. So yeah, there's sort of a feeling that things need to mature before we really move forward and take action. And so the best thing that you can do at this moment is to collect information, continue to collect information, and do what you can to see all sides, because Gemini loves to see all sides, and so does Pisces. Pisces likes to take in the whole. So there's a lot of Gemini and Pisces energy in this. Yeah. So on the second, moving forward here, there we go. Venus moves into Cancer. Did it move into Cancer yet? On here, not quite yet. I'm going to boost it forward a little bit. So yeah, I can move forward by hour. And there we go. So on the second, it moves into Cancer. And this can evoke feelings of wanting to protect your loved ones. It can bring up sensitivity, wanting to connect and to be with those that you love. Venus trine Jupiter. When you look at this, here's Venus, and it's trine Jupiter. That's that blue line right there. That's a trine. Again, when you have Venus is at 0 degree right here, but of course it can move pretty quickly. And Jupiter is at 1 degree in Pisces. And this can bring up extravagance or overdoing it, really kind of like wanting to overdo some of those like sensual pleasures, because Venus is connected with just things that are sensual. It's also connected with being with others and being in relationship to others. And Jupiter it can be a really lovely transit. Just it's kind of good fun and playful. But yet at the same time, if you haven't gone out with your buddies in a bit and it's like, all right, let's go to the club, and let's go have some drinks, and before you know it, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm on the floor and I'm making out with some guy that I don't know, like that sort of thing. So just be careful. Shopping, it's like, oh my goodness, I've been saving all of quarantine and now it's time to go shopping. And I spent my entire like household budget for 3 months or something. So just something to be aware of. Next, you have the moon conjunct Neptune trine to Mars. So here we go. Again, moon moves rather fast. You can see like by the hour, choo, choo. All right. So yes, it's moving rather quickly. It's going to quickly join up with Neptune. There we go. And again, I'm going by hours here. And so yeah, by the 3rd at 11:32 a.m. in New York, there you go. You've got the moon that is conjunct with Neptune, and then you've also got it trine to Mars and square with Mercury here. Do you see that? And there's that trine to Mars. Ah, and here's another one. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I'll be talking about that one in just a minute. But this moon conjunct Neptune trine to Mars, this is a positive aspect and it can give you a capacity to act with sensitivity to the flow of life. This can bring up passive aggression, though, in a social context. If you're getting together with your friends for the first time in a really, really long time, just be aware that, you've got boundaries. Boundaries are important, and it's important for you to defend them too. Yeah, don't allow people to walk all over you just because you haven't seen them in a while. Mercury square to Neptune. This can bring up a lot of anxiety, but also it brings up, it's sort of like this dreamy state where Mercury pulls from the heavens and it brings it down to earth, like I was just saying. But yeah, it can be a little bit of an anxious transit as well. But Mercury is the planet that travels between the realms of the unconscious and the conscious. So it might be really useful if you have something that you're kind of mulling over. Keep a journal next to your bed, go to bed, and in 10, you can even write down the question for Mercury. Or I like to think, and there are different schools of thought and different ways of believing and different ways of working with energy and all of that stuff. One of the things that I like to do is I like to work with Mercury and also pull in other spirit guides of some sort, and that kind of helps me to kind of leverage my question, get some answers for what I need. I might even pull a couple of cards, and working with Mercury, and yeah, so that's kind of helpful. But yeah, especially during this Mercury retrograde time. Again, during Merc retrograde, you're going inward and you're following the rule of Re's. So you're re-examining, you're rethinking, you're all of that re stuff. If it starts with re, it's a Mercury thing. If you're going over something, that's a Mercury thing. All right, so I'm gonna switch back to the day. All right, so here we have the moon that is opposite to not the moon. I'm so sorry. Here we go. The moon. I'm gonna go forward a little bit more. Will it do it now? All right. Maybe not so much. Okay. Sorry, I want to go back just a little tiny bit until the moon hits the point that I want it to. Okay. So the moon, trine to Pluto. There it is. All right, do you see that? And for those of you who can't see the moon, there's a little blue line between the moon and Pluto. All right, so this can bring up intensity and it can bring up passion. Think of mama bear instinct. That's what this can bring up. It can also bring up a clash of wills in the family arena. And the sun trine to Saturn is another transit right here. See that big blue line, the sun trying to Saturn. And along with all of the creative transits from the second, this transit can help you put some structure to creative routines. Yeah. Yeah. So if you've been wanting to maybe schedule some time in your day to have a painting practice or something, this can be a really good transit for that. And it can possibly bring up feelings of loneliness. So, which I feel that loneliness is something that I'd like to speak to for a moment, because it can also make you feel like you don't have enough time, but I want to speak to the loneliness aspect for a second. Once again, we need to work with Mercury, and ask it what you need to know right now, especially if you're going through a period of loneliness. Loneliness can feel existential. It can make you feel like, why am I here if I'm just here to sense this loneliness or aloneness? And it can be heavy. It can be incredibly heavy. You have the right to feel any way that you feel about it. You can feel angry, and you have the right to feel depressed. You have the right to feel the way you feel about this loneliness. It's something that we humans were designed to feel. Of course, you know that if it's something that you feel at a very profound level for an extended amount of time, it's time to seek out help. But at the same time, we do go through waves of feeling great and feeling not so lonely, and then it'll hit you again. So it's just something that to be aware of. But this transit can also trigger feelings about abandonment. So in Buddhist philosophy, there will be waves of loneliness, and while we're here on this planet, we're here to experience it. And again, it's not pleasant, but be with it and sit with it and do what it is that needs to be done with it. Something that could be incredibly helpful is just really seriously leaning into that feeling, as painful as it can be, and really listening for what is it that I need to do next. Aloneness and loneliness can bring up, has a way of revealing to you your next step in a process of kind of like enlightenment, or whatever you want to say, but it's your next biggest step that you can take toward your own personal development. So it can be a profound, deeply profound teacher. So use it. Use that. Use loneliness as a teacher, and especially if you have Saturn in your chart and it's a really strong Saturn, it can be one that is telling you, hey, you need to really pay attention to your loneliness. What is your loneliness telling you? And it always has a message for you, always. So moving forward, by the day now is June 5th. And this can be a rather combustible day. That's what I'll say about that. Mercury is square to Neptune on this day, and like it has been, because Mercury is retrograde. So it's going to be going around this one, kind of fishtailing it. Couple times. Again, this can bring up anxiety. Mars is opposite to Pluto. So this is a really, really important transit. And I feel like it's almost like, what's that point on a teeter-totter where you've got the little pointy thing and then the teeter-totter goes around. So the point in the middle, this is it. I'm like, is that the fulcrum? I'm not really sure how you would talk about that. But so yeah, this transit, okay. It's downright combustible. It can bring up some deep-seated rage, depending on how you're feeling about the loneliness conversation. It might be a good time to go out into the woods and go, like that scene from Garden State, where they just go out to the ledge of the, I don't know, junkyard, whatever it was that they were at, and they just screamed. That that sort of thing. Downright combustible. It can bring up some deep-seated rage. And this is a really great time to do some sort of intense outdoor activity. Go bungee jumping if you've never done that before. It'll be a great day to do that. Go run in the woods. It's again, so this is the teeter-totter point between of the Mercury retrograde, and it's this point also that's in the middle of the eclipses. So it's kind of flavored by the eclipses, are sort of flavored by this. So what we're doing with this time, anything with Pluto has to do with transmutation and transformation, transmutation. And Mars acts as a courageous catalyst. So you need the courage, and we need transformation, yes, but there's also there's also the fiery aspect of this. So I think of the Tower, that card, the tarot card, the Tower. Blah, that's kind of the Mercury and Pluto opposition. That's what that feels like. But yeah, go run in the woods, and pay attention to what happens during this time. Again, this is eclipse season. Whatever happens, whatever sorts of issues are coming up for you right now, 6 months from now, they're going to be coming back, and you're going to be revisiting a lot of these themes again. Okay, so let's see here. It's important to go into this time consciously, to be with your breath. But when the situation calls for it, don't be afraid to step up to the plate and to do something about it, because rage is the immune system of the emotions. So then you also have the moon square to Mars. This is just like, really? Let's see here. If we move forward a little tiny bit, the moon's going to be clicking in here. Just trust me. It's gonna, and you know how quickly the moon works, but right now, once it clicks into that 25 degree, it's going to be on the 5th as well. This can allow you to express your emotions in a constructive way. It may maybe give yourself permission to go out again, scream in the woods, before assembling your arsenal and moving forward to fight the good fight, that sort of thing. Mars is still in Cancer again. It's defensive, so just keep that in mind. So between the 5th and the 6th, the moon is going to be moving between Aries, which is a cardinal fire sign, and Taurus, and this is a fixed earth sign. So this could mean that the tensions between Mars and Pluto, that Mars and Pluto opposition, could result in a buckling down, like holding down the fort. So possibly feeling like you're being backed into a corner, wanting to just take swings at people. So that's something to just be conscious of. Again, this is the weather report, so you know what's coming up. And of course, a lot of this depends too on your own chart and where each of these players is interacting with the players that are present in your chart too. So that's kind of fun. So yeah, so that's about it. Today I had a lovely meeting with some of my Mercury peeps, and if you would like the replay, it's not too late to go ahead and purchase that out, and I'll get that out to you. Also, I'm putting together an interactive mercurial experience workbook style. We're going to be taking a tour of each of Mercury in each of the signs and each of the elements. And it's going to be an interactive, creative, movement based. It's going to be super fun, and it'll help you to really get to know Mercury. And Mercury influences us, as you know, all the damn time. Especially now when it's retrograde. A lot of us feel it. But yeah, it's not too late to join me for that as well. That hasn't even started. It's going to start on Wednesday. I'm going to be kicking out that first video on Wednesday, so I'll be dropping the link below. So let me know again if you have any questions. I would seriously love to read some of your charts if you would like me to cover anything in your in your life, you know, when it comes to your chart. Of course, this all depends on whether or not you want to you mind me like using it as a teaching tool. Yeah, so there is that. And I'm gonna double check, see if there are any questions in here. I don't believe that there are. All right, and I believe that that's it. So anyway, you guys, I enjoy your week. Let me know if you have any questions, any astrology questions whatsoever. And until we meet again, bye-bye.